Welcome to the third session for today. So in this session, we will discuss about the University Grants Commission list or the UGC list. And this is a very, very important topic for specifically for the Indian researchers because you know that in the last 2 years, before 2 years, in 2018-19, there are numerous circulars which have been published by the UGC, which clearly states that only the journals or only the articles which are published in the journals recognized by the UGC list will be considered for promotion or for giving recruitment or for awarding PhD. So in that sense, this particular topic is of very, very importance in the current scenario because we need to understand that what is the UGC list and how you can select whether a particular journal is in the UGC list or not, and how you can become aware about this particular uh, cause. Okay? So you will have to rely on the UGC list invariably to find out whether a particular journal is listed in the UGC list or not. Okay? So we are going to see a little bit about this particular topic. So the first thing is that the UC, as you know, is the apex organization in India, which is responsible for the higher education scenario in India. It was established in 1953. It has a headquarter in New Delhi with 6 regional centers in various parts of the country. Now, what is UGC Care? UGC Care, or the University Grants Commission Consortium for Academic and Research Ethics, is a group of universities which have come together, or is a consortium, or is a kind of a panel that has been formed by the UGC to look into the matters of publication, or to look into specifically to look into the publications and the ethics that are related to publishing. Now, this is the official website of the UGC Care. We'll go on to this website in a bit and we'll see more about the functions and the processes that the UGC does. But right now, let us learn a little bit more about the UGC Care, and then we can go on to the UGC Care website. Now, what are the objectives of the UGC Care? Objectives are to promote quality. Probably you do not know this, and probably if you may have also heard this, is that in the last 1 year, uh, uh, in fact, in 2018, India was the second highest published in predatory or fake journals. And at the same time, it was also second highest in terms of retractions. So what is basically retraction? Retraction is something when a particular paper is published in a journal, and because of some reasons related to ethics or some other related reasons, maybe the data was falsified or maybe the peer review was compromised, and all this kind of reasons, what happens is that some papers which have been published are taken down, and this is known as the retraction. Means a particular paper is published, but after publishing the paper, the editorial or the journal comes to know that this paper is has done some kind of quality breach or some kind of ethical quality breach. So it is, so the paper is retracted. In a sense, the paper is withdrawn from the withdrawn after publication. And in that data also, India was number 2 in the year 2018. So it was a very concerning. It was a very concerning kind of statistics for the Indian researchers and the Indian higher education officials. And that is when the UGC Care was established, so that it can look into this kind of uh, scenario, or in this kind of, it can do away with this kind of problems that the Indian higher education scenario, or specifically the Indian research scenario, was facing. So in a way, the UGC Care is a guiding force, or uh, it is a organization, or it is a consortium that is constructed or that is formed so that it can advise the Indian scientific community to in regards to where it should publish and where it should not publish. Okay, so this is the basic objective of the UGC Care. And now we'll go on and look at the need for the UGC Care. As I told, that the number of the papers that have been published in the predatory journals by Indians was quite high. It is also, in fact, it is now also increasing at a very alarming rate. but still, by efforts of the UGC, a lot more information about the predatory journals and this kind of fake journals is now spread uh, among the masses or among the research related people in India. And however, a lot needs to be done, because if you see the current data also, which have been published quite a few days back in a newspaper, it showed that even now also Indians are somewhere in the second or the third as far as the number of the papers published in the predatory journals is considered. So this needs to stop, and for to stop this, there is only one way to stop this, and that is awareness among the researchers. A lot of these researchers who are publishing in this kind of priority journals are doing it because they do not have the proper awareness regarding the journals, because they are not aware that how they will have to select a particular journal, that how they will have to see whether a particular journal is reputed or not. And many a times what happens is that the journals are also using different kinds of tactics, like they are displaying on their website that they are indexed in reputed databases or something like that. And because of it, people are kind of misled to believe that these journals are quality journals and they publish in them. So in this regard, the only solution to this particular problem is strict laws and awareness among the people, or awareness among the researchers. Uh, so, uh, what is the scope of the UGC care list or the UGC care list? The UGC care list is basically a reference list for quality journals. Okay, so it is a white list. In a sense, it is a white list, means it tells you where to publish. Uh, there are many organizations all across the world which maintains blacklist, means these are the journals where you should not publish. But Indian has taken the optimistic kind of view to this, where the Indian government or the UGC uh, has published a whitelist. This is the list where you can publish or you should publish, and uh, rather than publishing something called the blacklist where you should not publish, the Indian scenario or the UGC has opted for the whitelist where you can publish or where you should publish. That is the UGC care list. Okay. Again, the UGC care list is divided into two different groups. One is called the group 1 and one is called the group 2. Now, we'll first learn about group 2 and then we'll discuss about the group 1. So, we have already seen in the previous session that there are a number of prestigious indexings that are already there. So, what UGC thought was to make use of them, because this particular indexings are very, very reputed and they have very strict quality policies. Specifically, the Web of Science core collection has very strict quality policies. So that is why any journal which is listed in the Web of Science core collection is directly included in UGC list group 2. Similarly, the journals which are included in Scopus uh, are also directly included in UGC Care list group 2. But there are certain journals in the Scopus, as I mentioned when I was discussing about the Scopus, that because the quality requirements of Scopus are not as stringent as the Web of Science, some predatory journals or some fake journals somehow get indexed in the Scopus journals. But as soon as Scopus is made aware of this, or they become aware of this, these journals are immediately taken down. So in this sense, so far in the last 2 years of analysis on the UGC care list, what I have seen is that all the journals which are listed in the Web of Science are listed in the UGC care list group 2. At the same time, all the journals which are listed in the Scopus are also listed in UGC care list group 2. But certain journals which are behaving in predatory manner but are still indexed in the Scopus are taken down by the UGC care group list 2. So when you look at the data regarding the group list 2, you will find that some Scopus journals are missing from the UGC group 2. So that is why you need to be careful when you are publishing in Scopus journals, that so that you know that all these Scopus journals are not directly listed in the are not covered in the UGC care group 2. Okay. Some journals which are in Scopus are not in UGC group 2 because there has been a lot of complaints about these journals that they are behaving in the predatory manner. Okay. But to my knowledge, up to the last time when I analyzed this database, I saw that all the journals which are in Web of Science are covered in the UGC Care list group 2. This brings us to the discussion on UGC Care group 1. So what is UGC Care group 1? There are a number of journals which may be good, but which are for some reason or another, it may not be indexed in the Scopus or the Web of Science. These journals can find a place in the UGC Care Group 1. Okay. So in that sense, what you have to understand is that for UGC Care list Group 2, generally, for first time, there is no review done, or there is no quality assessment done, because this quality assessment is because this journal list is directly taken from the Web of Science and the Scopus. So no quality assessment is done on the Group 2. But when the UC receives complaint backed by suitable evidence, or that certain journals listed in Group 2 are involved in predatory practices, they are immediately taken down from the UC Group 2. At the same time, UC Group 1 uh, are those journals which are not indexed in this Scopus or Web of Science, and that is why they need a lot of scrutiny and lot of assessment by the UGC panel. Okay, and that is why the procedure for listing this kind of journals in the UGC is separate, and that is why a separate UGC Care Group 1 is formed. So most of the journals which are covered here are generally those kind of journals which are relevant to Indian context. For example, you may have a bilingual journal in, suppose, say, Hindi and English. It may not be covered in the Scopus database because of certain legalities or certain scope of the not being within the scope of the Scopus or the Web of Science. This kind of journals can find a place in the UC Group 1. For this, the journals have to do some kind of application, for which we will look at the process also by which it can get itself indexed in the UC Care Group 1. Next, we would like to see the organization of the UC Care. So the UC Care is handled by a UC Care Empowered Committee, which consists of a panel of 12 members. Again, in the website, you can go and find a list of this. If you click on this, you can find on the website that all the members who are included in this empowered committee. So generally there are around 12 people who are in this list. Then we have something called the UGC Care Council members. The UGC Care Council members are organizations like AICT, or Association of Indian Universities, or Central Hindi Sansthan, and all that. So like this, we have around 30 different organizations which are part of the UGC Care, okay, which are members of the UGC Care Council members. So this particular members are, or this particular council members are organizations that are involved in policy making for the UGC Care. Next, we have something called the UGC Care universities, which are very central, or which are very important to the entire management of this entire UGC Care list. So this there are only 4 universities which have been awarded the UGC Care university status, and these are divided into zone wise. For the north zone, you have JNU, or the Jawaharlal Nehru University. For the western zone, you have MS University of Baroda. For the southern zone, you have University of Hyderabad, and for the eastern zone, you have University of Tezpur, or the Tezpur University. So all of them have some different jurisdictions. As you can see here, state-wise, they have been given some jurisdiction, and they are responsible for the conducting the, or maintaining the UGC care activities in this particular regions, or these particular zones. Now, what is basically, again, we have another important university, which is the SSPU, or the Savitabhai Phule Pune University, where the main center for the UC care is established. Here we have something called a cell for journal analysis, and here a lot of decision on whether a particular journal is to be included in the UC care or not is taken. The UC care also maintains a very close link with Implement. You may have already heard about Implement, because Implement is a network which is responsible for the project Shod Ganga. Shod Ganga is a project where for maintaining a repository of all the Indian theses. Okay, and the what you have to understand is that the UC care list is not permanent. Okay, UGC care list is dynamic. It means it is updated quarterly in the month of June. The month of January, April, July, and October. Each year it is upgraded, or each year it is updated. And the UGC care list, as I already told, it is there are two different groups, group 1 and group 2. And again, these are not ranked groups, means the data that you find in these groups are not ordinal. They are not maintained in order of hierarchy. They are just maintained in alphabetical order. Now, you already know how a particular journal is listed in group 2, because if a journal is listed in the SCI or the means in the Web of Science core collection or the Scopus, it is listed in group 2. But what about group 1? How can a journal be listed in group 1? So any new journal which is not listed in the Web of Science or the Scopus can apply to list itself in the group 1. And how to do that? It can be done by the publisher, or it can be done by the individual by giving the basic information. The basic information pertains to information regarding the name of the journal, the ISSN of the journal, the editorial board of the journal, and so on. There are 12 different questions which needs to be answered, and a form is need to be filled, and it should be forwarded by a university or a college, and it should be recommended by the faculty members of that particular college. The internal quality assessment cell of that particular college or university will forward it to the regional or the zonal UGC Care University. If you remember, we have 4 different UGC Care zonal universities, which are JNU, MS University of Baroda, University of Hyderabad, and Tezpur University. So depending on whichever zone this particular uh, recommendation is coming from, it is forwarded to that particular UGC Care University, and that UGC Care University does something called the primary criteria evaluation, or the protocol 2. On the basis of protocol 2, a particular journal may be uh, provisionally accepted for going into the next round of protocol 3, or it may be rejected. If it is accepted, then it moves to the next category, which is the uh, uh, protocol 3, which is done by SSPU Fule cell for journal analysis. And if it passes this criteria also, then it is forwarded to the UGC care list for the approval of the empowered committee. And once the empowered committee approves it, it is covered in the UGC care. So this is basically the process by which a particular journal is covered in the UGC care group 1. Now, there are a lot of questions that are there regarding the UGC care. One of the question is that, which people often ask me, is that if a particular paper was published in a journal which was even before the UGC care list was appointed or conceived, whether that particular article or that particular research paper will be considered for my recruitment, or for my promotion, or for my awardance of the PhD degree. The answer to this is that if that particular journal where you have published is now listed in the UGC care list, then it will obviously be considered. But if the paper if the journal where you have published the paper is now currently not listed in the UGC care list, then it will not be considered for promotion, or uh, for recruitment, or for PhD awardance. And another question may be that what can you do to find out the sub-quality journals or the priority journals that are there in the UGC care? Because we all know that there are a lot of journals that are still priority journals that are still there in the UGC care, especially in the group 1. So what can you do for that? For that, you can go to this particular link in the website, and you can give a feedback on the website regarding the particular journal with some evidence, and then you can be assured that that particular journal will be debarred from the UGC care list. Again, if a particular researcher have published a research paper in a journal which is indexed in Scopus but removed from UGC care, will it be considered? Again, the answer to that is that it will not be considered. If a particular journal is listed on the UGC care, only then it will be considered for promotion or for other academic purposes. But it is not listed. If it is not listed in the UGC care list, it will not be considered. Now, here are some interesting websites that you may follow, and you may refer to for getting some information. For example, we have a website called the Scholarly OA. So in the scholarly way, you find a lot of articles related to this kind of topics, where to publish and how to publish and all that. A website called the retractionwatch.com. It is a very, very interesting website where you find out stories on uh, the papers that have been retracted, and you find out what kind of mischiefs these papers have done, or what kind of uh, uh, falsification of data, or what kind of breach of ethics these papers have done. This kind of information you can get in the research watch retractionwatch.com. So from this you can learn that what to avoid and what are the things to avoid when you are going for publication of a particular paper in a particular journal. Again, there is another interesting website called the leadpub.com. The leadpub.com is a provides you a comparison of different kinds of journals in terms of the time taken, in terms of the impact factor, in terms of the uh, quality of the journal. And we all already probably know about the Ganga project, that is the shodhganga.influin.ac.in. Ganga is the Indian repository for thesis for PhD as well as master theses. So here you will find thousands and thousands of Indian PhD theses on all the areas, with it may be humanities, it may be management, or it may be engineering and sciences. So I urge you to go and look into this website. You will find a lot of interesting theses here. And you have some websites like keepcalmandpublishpapers.com. This can Here you can get some information regarding how to publish papers and what are the process to follow. And the last information and the last website that I listed here in the interesting websites is the website by Government of India. It's a website called data.gov.in. So again, we know that this is the age of data. This is the age of information sciences. So in this regard, this particular website is an absolute beauty, because here you find tons and tons of data on different kinds of studies that have been conducted by the government. You may find your data the uh, from diverse topics, from the healthcare to uh, economy to census and all this kind of data. And in almost all the cases, the data is collected by the government agencies. So the data is very, very reliable. You may use this data for some kind of analysis in some kind of research papers. If you are interested, if you are from the social sciences or from the humanities background or from the policy making background, you can use the data from this website. Okay, you can use the raw data from this website to carry out some research and then come up with some interesting research papers. So in this regard, this particular website is very, very interesting, because it provides thousands and thousands of different data sets that you can work on. I have also listed some very interesting journals here. There is a particular type of journal which is called the mega journal. A mega journal is a journal which is very large than the traditional journal, and it has very low selectivity among the accepted articles. What I mean by this statement is that uh, in a lot of journals that we try to publish in, we always, uh, I'm talking about the quality journals in terms of SCI journals. So many of times what happens is that whenever we are trying to publish in Scopus journals, uh, we we are faced with we are plagued with the issue, or we get the comments from the editors that your particular paper is lacks nobility. This is one of the most common statements that uh, people get when they are rejected from the SCI journals. And the other statement, the common statement that people get when they are rejected from the SCI journal is that your paper is not within the scope of this particular journal. So this is these two fundamental problems is something that mega journals uh, try to uh, rectify. So basically, mega journals are very, very large journals where almost papers from any kind of field are published, and generally they are published irrespective of their lack of nobility, means irrespective of the perception of the nobility. Again, when we talk about nobility, nobility is something, again, a subjective matter, right? Nobility is again a subjective matter. It is not an objective matter. But what is objective is the quality of the journal, or what is the in that sense, what is the technical correctness of the a particular paper is a objective decision, whereas novelty is a subjective decision. So the mega journals are those kind of journals which do not deal in subjectivity but deal in objectivity. Means any paper which is technically sound will be published in this kind of journals, irrespective of whether they are novel or not, whether they are perceived to be novel or not. Okay, if it is technically correct, okay, if it is technically correct, then it will be, and if it is technically correct and helpful to the scientific community, it will be published in these particular journals. So if you can see all the journals that are listed here, for example, PLOS ONE, ACS, Omega, all these journals generally have very wide audiences because they publish papers from different kinds of fields. Some of them cover engineering, medicine, everything. So that is the first thing. And the second thing is that most of these journals that you see here are from very reputed publishers. For example, PLOS ONE is by PLOS Library, a very reputed organization in US. ACS is by American Chemical Society. Scientific Reports is by Nature. SAGE is by SAGE Open is published by the SAGE Publication Group. RSC is published by the Royal Chemical Society. And you have the BMJ, which is another very respectable society, and so on. In fact, you have the Royal Society for Open Science. So all these journals that you see here are very reputed journals, and they have very wide audience. At the same time, they are mega journals, and they do not uh, segregate papers on the basis of perceived novelty. So maybe for your next research, you may try any of them, uh, because these are all SCA journals and they have very good reach. Uh, Again, we have some other interesting journals that have come up in the recent times called the F1000. Okay, so F1000, the full form for F1000 is Faculty of 1000. So F1000 is a particular journal where a particular paper is published as soon as it is received. The model for F1000 is a little controversial, but it is again gaining popularity among the scientific community. For example, what F1000 does is that if you submit a particular paper to F1000, a particular paper will be assessed for technical correctness, and if that even before assessing it for technical correctness, it will be assessed for the minimum requirements, minimum standard requirements of whether it has listed all the procedures, whether it has listed all the results and all that. And once it is recognized that all the typical standards are maintained, it will be published in the online version. And as soon as it is published in the online version, it will also be asked for peer review. Means the peer review is done after the paper is published. Okay, in F1000 is unique in that sense, is that after the initial draft of the paper is published, initial review is done, and if the review is positive, or uh, if the review suggests that the paper can be accepted, it is further forwarded to the Scopus database for referencing or for indexing. And if the particular uh, peer review, the results of the particular peer review is negative, means that particular paper is not accepted, it will remain in the F1000 website, but it will not be forwarded to the Scopus database. And we have some other interesting journals like the data journals, like the Data in Brief, Data, Scientific Data. All the journals are very large open access journals where large data sets are available. So if you are someone who wants some data from some specific field, you can go and refer to these particular journals, because here data is available freely by common Creative Commons license. So any data that you find here, you can use it for your own research, provided that you give the citation to the original paper. And then you have some other journals like the MethodX and SoftwareX, which are specifically meant for publishing the methodology or for publishing specifically on the software. Generally in MethodX and SoftwareX, a lot of supplementary files are also present where source codes of the softwares or the actual softwares are also shared. So in this sense, all the journals are trying to do something for the scientific community by bringing in more transparency in the entire publication and all. So I urge all of you to take out some time and maybe look at this particular websites that you see here, or this particular journals that you see here, and probably you can use them for the benefit of the scientific community as a whole. Thank you. We'll continue with the next session.